We have to take our country back. We've lost our jobs. We've lost our money. We're a third world nation, and we're a debtor nation at the same time. You need somebody with the kind of thinking. I built a great company. I have some of the great assets of the world. And I talk about that only from the, not bragging. I talk about it because that's the mentality that this country needs.
That, of course, GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump this morning talking about his run for the White House. He's close behind Jeb Bush in the latest Republican poll in the state of New Hampshire. Meanwhile, an array of GOP presidential hopefuls weighed in today on, among other things, the landmark Supreme Court decision on same-sex marriage.
I think it's a transformational moment. There are a lot of upset people who believe in traditional marriage. They're disappointed. They're down right now. But the court has rules. I would not engage in the constitutional amendment process as a party going into 2016, except the court's ruling, fight for the religious liberties of every American.
I think the left is now going to go after our First Amendment rights. I think it is wrong for the federal government to force Christian individuals, businesses, pastors, churches to participate in wedding ceremonies that violate our sincerely held religious beliefs. We have to stand up and fight for religious liberty.
I think people have to say, if you're going to have a new celebration, that we're not going to discriminate. May I ask, are we going to now discriminate against people of conscience, people of faith, who may disagree with this ruling?
Well, Tuesday, it is expected Chris Christie will join the growing ranks of Republican presidential candidates to assess the changing 2016 landscape. I'm joined by Democratic pollster Fred Yang and MSNBC contributor and former Bush Cheney advisor Robert Traynham. Hi, guys. Good to see you both. Thanks for joining me.
Hello there.
Robert, I'll begin with you here. Does Chris Christie muddle an already muddled GOP picture? I mean, where do you think he fits?
Well, he fits. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the more the merrier, if you will. But look, at the end of the day, this really is a two-tier race. There's the top-tier race of Scott Walker, presumably, if he gets in the race, Jeb Bush, and perhaps maybe John Kasich, and then the others, if you will. And I think you see that based on the debating structure that Fox News and some of the others have put out there. I'm not surprised. It's a wide open field. Republicans reserve the right, obviously, to run as many candidates as they want. I think this is a good thing for the party because you have a lot of ideas out there, and you also have clearly a lot of people that have something to say as it relates to the overall direction of this country. I actually personally wish that more Democrats would run on the Democratic side because it is the democratic process. So I actually think this is a good thing.
Hey, Fred, two questions to you here. There was a time when the Democrats might have feared Chris Christie. How would he stack up against frontrunner Hillary Clinton now? And how do you explain Donald Trump being number 2 in New Hampshire?
Let me take the second first. I think a lot of things right now, especially for the Republicans, Alex, is about name recognition. And through his various business ventures and TV shows, he's got clearly a high name ID. But I think our NBC Wall Street Journal poll showed that beneath the veneer of name recognition, there's not a lot there. So I think he's gonna fade away. He's like a horse at the Kentucky Derby who sprints out ahead, but doesn't have the qualities or the strength to make it to the finish line. I think the first question is, I agree with Robert. I think there's a lot of different voices for the Republican primary. There is no other option other than to say that's good for the party. Maybe there'll be a lot of airing of different voices. And I think it really doesn't matter who the Republicans nominate. I think given the way the country is going right now and President Obama's very strong approval ratings, Mrs. Clinton, whoever is a Democratic nominee, will be a very strong candidate.
Yeah. A pollster that you are, Fred, I want to ask you this question. With those new polls showing that Bernie Sanders has some modest gains on Hillary Clinton in both Iowa and New Hampshire, modest being the operative word here. Here's Bernie Sanders this morning.
We are going to win New Hampshire. We're going to win Iowa, and I think we're going to win the Democratic nomination, and I think we're going to win the presidency, and I'll tell you why. The American people are sick and tired of seeing the disappearance of the great middle class of this country. They're sick and tired of working longer hours for low wages, while at the same time 99% of all new income generated is going to the top 1%, and the top 1/10 of 1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
So, Fred, assess his chances. That issue, income inequality, is he a better messenger on that than Hillary Clinton?
I mean, he's a strong messenger. He has a record. I would argue that Mrs. Clinton, the other people in the Democratic nomination for president also have very strong credentials on this whole issue of the disappearing middle class and income inequality. He's a strong voice. He's an eloquent voice. But to Alex to say that he is the leading voice on this, I don't think is 100% right.
Okay, Robert, want to get to you regarding Ted Cruz on same-sex marriage, the Supreme Court decision there. Let's take a listen.
Today's decision was a travesty. It was not constitutional. It was 5 unelected lawyers imposing their own radical views on this nation. What we saw today was 5 unelected judges setting aside the Constitution and saying the preferences of over 300 million Americans don't matter.
So in light of the 2 Supreme Court decisions, Robert, one propping up Obamacare, the other supporting same-sex marriage, should the GOP candidates drop their overt opposition? I mean, how do they negotiate these waters to their benefit now?
Well, 2 things. Number one, to speak to Senator Cruz specifically, I mean, that was a bunch of hyperbole that we heard a few moments ago. The Constitution obviously makes the Supreme Court matter. It is a co-equal branch of governance when it relates to the legislative and the executive branch. But look, at the end of the day, you know, obviously everyone knows about my personal life. I am gay. I'm a proud gay American, and I applaud the Supreme Court's decision on Friday. But I think a lot of Republicans, and maybe even some Democrats that disagree with the Supreme Court's decision, are going to say, elect me. If you in fact elect me, you perhaps may be voting for the next Supreme Court justice, because as we know, there are three Supreme Court justices that are at or near retirement, or have at least gave the impression that they may retire at some point. So I think this is going to be a rallying call for many conservatives. I think it's going to be a fundraising tool. But the reality is that the Affordable Health Care Act is here to stay. The Supreme Court has ruled not once but twice on this. And also the reality is that marriage equality is the law of the land in all 50 states, and thank goodness for it.
So, Fred, will these issues, either of them, be on the minds of voters in 2016, or will, as Senator Lindsey Graham suggested, it be more along the lines of religious liberty?
Well, I think to give you a pollster answer, Alex, I think it's yes, and we don't know yet. Yes, these issues will be very much on the mind of Republican primary voters. When Senator Cruz and other conservatives talk on these issues, Obamacare and same-sex, they are really not looking ahead, Alex, to November 2016. They're looking ahead to the Republican primary. So, yes, I think these issues will be top of mind for Republican primary voters. Look, the billion-dollar question is going to be, how much will these issues matter in the general election next year? And that I don't think we know yet.
Okay, Fred Yang, Robert Traynham, good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.